All right, I got Robbie Garner here with ACS Computer Systems. So he's an IT specialist here in town, has a local IT company, and has a really highly technical employee that he looks for, right? So it's a real high skill set. They don't come dime a dozen, especially to fit the ACS culture. They have to be really, really high skilled. And they've got an incredible reputation of having a highly skilled team that can solve problems. And so he's real discriminating when it comes to the right kind of employee to fit within their culture and their value system of their organization. So Robbie's had kind of some different experiences with hiring over the years, and has changed some things recently that has really brought on what is a amazing employee, probably one of the best hires out of the gate that they've had in quite a while. So so talk a little bit, Robbie, about what life was like before when it came to hiring. What were some of the what was life like before? What were some of the mistakes you made, things that you didn't do right? Can you talk a little bit about some of the missteps you made that most business owners make, by the way? You wouldn't be uncommon in those.
Yeah, thanks, Reggie. So it's certainly interesting. It's interesting the success we had with the recent hire. Going before we started down this road, hiring was very mechanical, I would say. There wasn't a whole lot of strategy built into who we were looking for, or why we were looking for that person, and then identifying those skills beyond IT. So everybody probably knows that you can have very technically skilled people that you can't talk to. They're not people, right? And they're not people that I want in front of my clients. So really being able to weigh, okay, this guy has the technical skill set we need, but okay, also he's a good representative of the company, and he knows how to interact with clients, and he's not going to be demeaning or talking down to folks when they don't understand something. Those are really difficult traits to find, and I think we spent some time before we ever placed an ad to understand that. And then once we got to the ad, we did something a little differently as well. We didn't really spend a whole lot of time going through, you need this skill, you need this skill, you need this skill, you need this skill. We kind of gave them a glimpse into the culture. What is your day going to be like? Or what support are you going to have in your role? And then we got people interested in kind of ACS first. And then during the interview process, we, of course, kind of vetted the skill set, right? So, do you know this particular piece of technology? And we were able to filter through pretty quickly. And we kind of hit a home run there. So I think getting the employee interested in ACS was something that we really pushed for early on in that process.
Yeah. So that was all the stuff you did right. I'm going to go back to the kind of the stuff that you did before that wasn't producing much success, right? So
Gotcha.
Before, and you were, so it was kind of the standard employment ad, right? It was, here's the position, here are the requirements, here's the technical requirements that we need, your experiences, those kind of things. So would you say your previous ads looked like kind of what 80% of job ads for IT technicians look like?
Yeah, no question. There was no differentiation between ACS and a zillion other IT companies on, Monster or whatever, Indeed, whatever platform you're looking on. That is correct. It was very, very, very vanilla. Here are the technical requirements. Here are the skills, right? And it was like every other one you see.
Yeah, right. You didn't stand out. What was your approach before? I don't quite remember. What was your approach before we're discussing money in the ad? Did you put money in your ads before? And what in regards to, how did you approach discussing money in your ads? Remind me.
Sure. Well, I mean, over the years, we've tried it both ways. We didn't put it in there. We did put it in there. But we always, in recent time, we would put an hourly rate, and that was pretty much it. We would list benefits, of course, but that was the approach. Here's your hourly rate. Here are your benefits. That's it. And we want to go into a little bit of what we did differently.
Yeah, that's right.
Our approach came to, here's what an A player in this role could make. And so, we kind of put it out there. Hey, if you're the man, then this is what you can expect, and or the woman, I guess I should say. But that was the approach. It was the ad was written more from the employee's perspective, or the potential employee's perspective, than what we were looking for. Right? What would make them interested in this job more so than here's what this job needs.
Yeah. Did you ever fear about, so you took a different approach to like, all right, I'm going to advertise. If I'm going to get an A player, I'm going to get a rock star. I need to market rock star money.
That's right.
And was there ever, like, do you have a bit of hesitation before doing that? Like well, I don't want to, upset some of my team that are maybe B players, by advertising more money than they're making, or did you ever have some of those fears, or I don't want to have to fight about money, with a candidate, so I'm not going to be over aggressive. We'll take care of that in the negotiations.
Right. I mean, it's always an uncomfortable topic. I mean, especially with a small business owner. We're not professional HR people. If you're a small business, it's not something that you typically do a lot of, or at least I haven't. So absolutely, yeah, I was worried about all of the above. Were we going to pay too much for this person? What was my existing employees what were they thinking in all this? Because sure, that they see ads too. So it's probably naive to think that they're not going to find out. Right. But I mean, we did it, and I don't know that I was ever challenged, or I don't know that it ever really came up. It came up with the potential employee, basically saying, hey, what do I need to do to get to where we were, what this potential is? And man, if you got an employee asking that question, what do I need to do? That gets to the heart of why this was a winner. This was a good hire for us.
Yeah, good. So you started off with more, added success. By the way, we kind of did an ad the old-fashioned way at first, right? And didn't produce much. We're like, all right, let's step it up. Let's really gear it up. So we used good bait and then better bait. Like, I think we did 2 levels of ads, right? Didn't we do 2 ads we want to start with? And using a good marketing piece that marketed to the employee, right? So, and just real quick, just to remind everybody, good marketing is knowing your target, which is what you talked about, knowing, who your person is, what's your target, and having good offers, right? Money's one piece and the most important piece. That's what they care about. Funny, a lot of business owners don't want to talk about the money piece in the ad for all those host of reasons we talked about. But also, what's the company going to do? Like, what kind of work is it going to be? And right. What matters with your type of person, with your who, is where can I do good work? Where can I have constraints? Where can I not be micromanaged? Because they want to do technical stuff. They want to be funny about your team. They want to be left alone. Right. They want to do their work. They don't. But they want just going to be left alone to do it. Right. So give me my targets. Give me my things. Let me go work. And don't look over my shoulder. So, the fact that you have that kind of environment that had the freedom to do that without, corporate structure and a little bit of wiggle room, like that was another clear strategic advantage you have that could pull people away. Is that fair to say that you started to market that and that was appealing to some of your candidates?
Yeah, exactly. We talked a little bit earlier about, we kind of laid out some strategy in our ad that was successful. We spent quite a bit of time in that ad addressing what are problems that an IT employee would have in their job, and we addressed most of those problems. And if I remember correctly, I think I actually put out a Teams message, and asked my folks a few questions, right? Like, what is it about working at ACS that you like, right? And or what's one thing that you would not like to, what's one thing that would bother you if you were in, if you had to deal with it at your, at a technical job or whatever. And you get some pretty good insight. People, at least technicians that I work with, they want to learn. So they want to learn things that are new. Um, they want access to training. They want some, as a small business, right? One of the things that we can give is some flexibility in schedule. So, you address those kind of things in the ad, and I think most research or whatever, people say that it's kind of those other things that matter in most cases more so than money.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That's
That's
right.
it's kind of what you hit on, in the ad.
Yeah, that's right. So good hiring, first and foremost, is a marketing game, right? And the challenge is a lot of business owners aren't strong marketers, not really, really strong marketers. A handful are, but not many. So that's just not your skill set. The technical expertise in what you do generally is your skill set. You may have some skill sets in other areas, but marketing usually doesn't hit the top one or two for most small business operators, right? So learning how to, so how do you, and that's why they struggle so much, because hiring's a marketing game. So you did marketing stuff right there. So you did a focus group. You did market research and a focus group.
That's right.
That's hardcore marketing stuff right there. And then you did some really great direct marketing and sales activities by addressing the fears, frustrations, concerns of the marketplace. And your marketplace is your team, right? What frustrations do you solve? And how do you, and why do you like working here, and all those kind of things. So why have you chosen to go somewhere else? Because you have really, really good retention on your team. So you do a lot of good things. You just, in the past, were not talking about them in your ads. So if there's one thing, because people are so frustrated, I can't get people to apply, or I can't get people, simple.
I think
Market well.
I think along the way, I mean, I think there was a couple times when, I think you've said a few different times that, the person that's maybe the person that's on Indeed is not the person you're looking for, right? I mean, the candidate that's just searching through Indeed may not be, if he's a good employee, he's already working somewhere, or she is already working somewhere.
That's right.
So what are you going to say to these potential prospects that already, your employee or potential employee is not going to be unemployed? What do you say to them to get them to look or catch their eye that makes them, jump ship? They're not going to be desperate to leave. And in my case, he wasn't desperate to leave. He was looking for some specific things. And, we were able to give him what he wanted. And that wasn't all just money. And I think that's important.
Yeah. The other thing is you tapped into, and for my these are mostly going out to my local Wilmington network. So you were able to leverage this community and leverage Wilmington. We live in a version of paradise here, pretty high demand location. So talk a little bit about what the, the benefit of, how you leveraged Wilmington, North Carolina.
Yeah, so this potential employee came from a different part of the state, a different part of the country. I was hoping that there would be someone local, but there just wasn't. And I think it's a little naive to think, at least in my industry or in my business here, that your employee has to be local. They don't. They can be anywhere. And there are a lot worse places to live in the United States than Wilmington, North Carolina. And I think that you can take advantage of that. You're at the beach. The majority of folks probably aren't living at the beach. To have that, to be halfway between, New York and New England and Florida, that's a family issue, right? They're halfway between family. So there's a lot of advantages, and you're right. I mean, I think that's another, what are the advantages of an employee working for you beyond just money. And I think you have to start listing those out. Location is certainly one of them. So
yeah, the good news is you're not recruiting to South Dakota, Wyoming, Idaho, and
I really like Wyoming.
Parts of all those places. Yeah. Well, there's parts of Wyoming you really like. There's parts of like I drove on a Sunday, like in an RV trip, like across Wyoming. I didn't see a house for an hour. Like didn't see a car, nothing. Like you just rode. So tell me about the ending. Like, how's this all worked out? Like, so tell me a little bit about what, through trying some, significantly different things you ever done in the past and different what most business owners do. What'd you get out of the deal?
I mean, so we hired an unbelievable candidate. I mean, he is a game changer for the business. So there's our success, right? But even more is just the realization that in the past, when I would hire for management or a management or supervisory role, I would hire good technicians, right? I mean, I would hire good engineers. They were good engineers. That means they can be, a help desk manager or whatever the situation may be. Well, that's just wrong. I mean, that's just wrong. I mean, you have to look specifically for the skill sets that you need. And, just hiring a good engineer in my case didn't work out in a couple different scenarios. And so when you start thinking through hiring, and I'm assuming you're going to get into some of the tools that you might use, but it gives you a different perspective on hiring, and that you're looking for certain skill sets, and you get those defined and during the interview process. And there's a structured interview process, right? I mean, it's not just a one phone call and you hire them. I mean, there is a progression of interviews. All this stuff falls out. I mean, it becomes really obvious who your selection is going to be, right? And if you don't get the candidates you're looking for, then do you adjust salary? Do you focus the ad a little differently on some of the other benefits? I mean, so this is a strategic process. It's not just throwing up an ad and waiting for somebody to apply.
Yeah, it's funny in most unfortunately in key areas of business, small business owners just miss the strategy piece. And they're going up against people that are very strategical on what they do. In a tight labor market, it's really noticed because the companies that are strategical, that are professional HR, to have professional HR companies within their business, called HR departments, but they have small businesses in their operation that are specialists, that are strategical, that really know how to attract the best. And we watch it. I watch the big companies in this town all the time scoop away great talent from small business owners because they have a strategy and they will, they'll soak up the talent. So you've got to match that, with, similar good strategy and leverage your strengths.
That's right.
Which I think you've done very well. So good on you for, what I've seen out of this employee you hired is I've watched him kind of come in as somewhat of an, entry level and kind of rise up to the top. And, he really is a, he's a fast, kind of on a fast track to being, he's already a leader in the organization. Just day one. Right. And now he's kind of assuming the role of actually kind of on a fast track, to being a positional leader within the organization. And the good news is we got a formula to let's go get 5 more of him.
That's right.
So congrats on, following the process, trusting the process, doing some really smart things.
Yeah.
And thanks for sharing that. Hopefully this will help some other business owners in the community, or for all around the world, make better, fix the number one constraint that exists in a business right now, which is good people.
Exactly. No question.
Thanks for your abundance and willing to share, Robbie.
Thanks, Reggie. I appreciate it.
Thanks for your help.
See you, buddy. Yep.